It's the Above It All show. This is 1796 show day of the program. Today is March 10 of the program. And we're going to be doing a show today. Going to be covering news on today's program. I'm going to be talking about news. I like news. I like discussing the news, I think. It's a new show, Above It All. It's Friday in March. It's Friday. Today. So, I'm going to be talking about some news today. Got some news. Today. From the news show. Doing a news show. Doing a news program today. In other news, my first story for today is something bizarre. In the United States of America, in the year 2023, I think it is now at this point in time, things are not going so well in this world. The so-called culture war that is raging on in the United States is about to get even dumber, in an even dumber way. I don't even know, what is the recap that I could provide here? I'm not sure, so we're just going to jump right in, or fall right in. White House endorses a new Senate TikTok bill, urges Congress to pass it quickly. The White House threw its support behind a new bipartisan Senate bill that would give the Biden administration the power to ban TikTok in the United States. The Restrict Act would empower the Commerce Secretary to mitigate undue or unacceptable risk to national security posed by technology transactions in which foreign adversaries have an interest. Senators sponsoring the bill emphasized that it doesn't single out individual companies for punishment, instead creating a new framework for evaluating risks. So this is a multifaceted issue. TikTok really, in a political sense, rose to prominence in the year 2020 when Zoomers were, and many other people, were recording police killing people live in the streets. If anyone remembers, there were a lot of protests in the year 2020, and a lot of young people would record these goings-on and post them on TikTok, and they circulated like wildfire. Police murdering journalists, murdering random protesters. I believe dozens of people were killed throughout 2020 by police. Killed, injured, permanently disabled. People are still recovering from those disabilities in a lot of areas. So that's where TikTok really rose to prominence in a political sense, in the sense of this is where politicians started to take note of it. But of course, they don't want to talk about it from an angle of, oh, we want to ban TikTok because Zoomers are getting woke on it or some shit. They want to ban it because of Chinese surveillance, which is unacceptable. But private companies surveil us. They collect all of our data, and they can sell them to international brokers that can sell that data, our data, whatever, everything you've ever searched on Google. Yeah, even in a private window, which, by the way, doesn't work on your ISP. Every single Google search you've ever made is in a file somewhere that is routinely sold back and forth, oftentimes from international brokers. So, but that's fine. It's TikTok that's the issue. Interesting. Interesting. You know what else is interesting? Saudi Arabia has one of the largest stakes of Twitter stock. Saudi Arabia, the government of Saudi Arabia, has one of the largest shares of Twitter stock out of any holder. Are we going to ban Twitter? I mean, Saudi Arabia did 9/11. Saudi Arabia, right, literally had a big part to do with 9/11. Are we really comfortable with them having access to our Twitter search history? Are we really comfortable with Saudi Arabia, the country that primarily is responsible for 9/11, an attack on American soil? Are we going to let them have our Twitter data? Well, yes, we are. Because we love Saudi Arabia. I guess, right? You ever think about this stuff? Like all the bullshit that we've been through with the 9/11, the post 9/11 lifestyle, 9/11, 9/11, 9/11. But we're best friends with a government that did 9/11. Isn't that a little... You ever just think about this shit, man? What the fuck? Let's keep going. And by keep going, I mean start. The White House threw its support behind a new bipartisan Senate bill on Tuesday that would give the Biden administration the power to ban TikTok in the United States. The legislation would empower the Commerce Department to review deals, software updates, and data transfers by information and communications technology in which a foreign adversary has an interest. Now, sidebar, what the fuck is a foreign adversary? Like, are we really still doing this shit? Where, ooh, the Chinese, ooh, the Russians, ooh, ah, ooh. Like, foreign adversary? TikTok, which has become a viral sensation in the United States by allowing kids to create, share short videos, is owned by Chinese internet giant ByteDance. Here's a question. What are we going to do about our economy that is reliant on China? If we cut all trade ties with China, the United States would collapse within a week. Less than that, probably a couple days. The entire U.S. economy would collapse. But they're our adversary, right? Why does our economy depend on Chinese manufacturing? If they're our adversary. I mean, they're telling us in one breath, China's an adversary, and they must be stopped at all costs. In the other breath, all of our trade deals outsource all of our jobs because of imports from China. Make it make sense. Does anyone know? I can't figure this out. Under the new proposal, if the Commerce Secretary determines that a transaction poses undue or unacceptable risk to U.S. national security, it can be referred to the president for action up to and including forced divestment. The bill was dubbed the Restrict Act. Blah, blah, blah. This bill presents a systemic framework for addressing technology-based threats to the security and safety of Americans. What about technology-based threats such as internet service providers and monopolies? You ever move to a new area and find out there's only one cable provider? That's a threat that leads to monopolies. By the way, these internet service providers steal all of our data. Every website you've ever visited on your computer or whatever it is that's connected to your ISP is on a file somewhere that they routinely sell to advertising companies. Is that not a technological-based threat to the security and safety of Americans? Sounds like one to me. But hey, what do I know? But, anyway, this is just a bunch of fucking garbage propaganda. But, yes, this is what's going on in the United States. Democrats are leading the charge on this one. To ban TikTok. TikTok, which, of course, is Chinese interests. But Saudi Arabia having a plurality stake of Twitter, you know, the country that did 9/11, that's fine. That's cool. That's fine. Private companies having every website you've ever visited. Looking at all the porn that you've ever looked at, that you've tried to bury deep. Ooh, I don't want anyone to know about my pornography habits. I'm gonna hide them so much that I forget about them myself. Well, Verizon still has that shit, motherfucker. And so on and so forth. Again, none of this is about logic. The United States government does not operate on logic. They operate on the culture war. The culture war! Oh, the culture war! And again, they're not going to say TikTok is banned because kids are using it to share things like police brutality or just any political messaging, or they're not going to even do it for health reasons. You know, some people say that TikTok addiction is a serious problem that's leading to underperformance in all kinds of situations. They're not going to ban it for that. They're going to ban it because China. But let's imagine Biden doesn't ban this. Okay. The next president will still have the authority to do so. So let's imagine Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis come in. Day one TikTok ban. And that's only assuming that Joe Biden doesn't do it himself. Shit's crazy. This is the Above It All show, everybody. Came with fertilizer from China. Would I use the fertilizer? Yeah, I mean, why not? Oh! Folks! I did a lot of marijuana yesterday. And I'm still recovering. Thought I would share that. Speaking of things I would like to share. The great state, everybody, of Michigan. Michigan is a state in the United States. It's, you know, Michigan. It's got good drug laws. Look them up. But over the last 2022 midterm election cycle, the great state of Michigan, to my understanding, is now run by Democrats. And here's one thing the Democrats are doing in Michigan now that they have power. For the first time in, I believe, decades, if I remember correctly. I read an article about it a while ago. Michigan House and Senate passed bill repealing 1931 abortion ban. So, does anyone remember when Roe v. Wade and Casey v. Planned Parenthood were overturned? And the Supreme Court, overnight, got rid of the right to bodily autonomy from... what, there's 330 odd million Americans, so what's about half of that? You know, 50% of the country became second-class citizens overnight. I believe Michigan was one of those states where there was an abortion trigger ban that was staved off. The effects of this trigger ban were staved off by the Democrat administration, the, Whitmer and the Attorney General, I forget her name. They staved it off, and a judge on the Michigan court staved it off. But it was always kind of in the air. Then the 2022 midterm happened. Michigan went blue. Now they're solving the fucking problem. And this is why you gotta vote for motherfucking Democrats. I know. A lot of people, they watch online videos and they go, You ever meet someone that you start talking about voting and they just respond with, like one of those like water sprinklers, you ever take a walk down the fucking, suburbia and you see those water sprinklers that go like, right? Like that's like someone just acts like that whenever you bring up voting. I don't know. This is like a chronically online kind of thing, but, I know a lot of people don't really know this, and I know that this is something that this is actually new information to a lot of people that watch online left-wing news programs, for better or for worse, my opinion for worse. But when you vote, there's more people on the ballot than the president of the United States. So a lot of people, they say, not gonna vote. And they just, like, whenever you ask them why they're not going to vote, they say, Joe Biden, God dang, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, right? It's like, you realize, like, when you're voting, the ballot has, like, dozens of different races. I know this is shocking news to people that don't vote. I have voted in every election that I've been alive for as an adult, and I can tell you, as a matter of fact, when I filled out the ballots, I circled in the president. And then and sometimes you turn the ballot over and there's stuff on the back. I know a lot of people don't know this. Obviously, I'm being facetious. But anyway, let's read. The Michigan legislature has voted to repeal a nearly century-old law criminalizing abortion. The Michigan Senate passed HB 4006 on Wednesday, which revokes the 1931 ban on abortion less than a week after it passed the State House on March 2. The bill, which is just a single sentence, now heads to the desk of Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Jesus, who's expected to sign it into law. Specifically, the bill repeals Section 75 of the bill, which makes it a felony, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? It's not a felony anymore, bitch. Quote. This is a quote. Today's repeal of this antiquated law is a victory for millions of Michigan residents. I like to call them Michiganders. That's what they call them. In Michigan, they call them Michiganders. Who, like myself, value bodily integrity and personal freedom. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel said in a statement, quote, the people of the state can rest assured that their elected officials will not sit idly by in the wake of Roe v. Wade being overturned and will fight to ensure the residents' health, safety, and well-being is safeguarded from harmful legislation. So, that's good news. Michigan, again, I believe is a Democratic trifecta now, and they've been doing a lot of good stuff with their time in power over the last, 2.5 months, 3 months now? I guess it's 3 months. And another example is they've been making right-to-work laws. Right to work, by the way, is a hilarious term, which basically means you're able to get fired for any reason, but they call it right to work. I know, right? They basically repealed that shit. They've been doing a couple of other things, but again, this is why you got to vote in elections. Every election, state and local elections are important. And if you're one of those dumb shit for brains motherfuckers out there that thinks that whenever you vote, it's only for president, I suggest maybe try voting for once, and you'll see that there's more on the ballot. Again, this stuff is important, and there you go. The 2022 midterms overall were a disaster. Let's be honest. It was a disaster. Across the board, disaster. But every disaster's got a silver lining. I don't know about every disaster, but this one does. And in this one, a couple of state houses and state Senate chambers flipped from red to blue. Michigan is an example. Michigan is why you got to vote even if you don't like who's on the ballot for president. I know, shocking. But still, state and local elections are the most important elections you can vote in because statistically, you have the highest percentage of the vote, especially if you're voting in a local election. You got a really high percentage of the vote. Why? Because no one fucking votes in those goddamn elections. You actually fill in a ballot, you know, you might even be able to get to like 0.1%. Maybe in some areas, you know, living in the South, you might even be 1% of the vote. There's a lot of the times where you see like these small towns of a couple thousand people, but only like 200 people vote and decide, you know. But I'm rambling now. But my point is, vote state and local elections. It's important. I know. Can you believe it? It's a show. It's the Above It All program. Today, I'm doing a show. I've said before that a goal of mine for this program, is to teach people something new every day. Whether that be just in the basic form of being the first one to talk about a news story that they may, you know, that they may think about later throughout the day, or whether it be me just ranting and rambling about a certain topic that people maybe don't think too much about. I want to teach people something every day that I'm streaming. And there you go. So I want you motherfuckers to learn something. Learn something for goddamn once. People are waking up and they're gonna be all Republicans. I'm gonna wake up and fight the woke. That's what I'm gonna do. Me and the goddamn boys back in goddamn gonna get on pickup truck F-150, gonna wake the hell up, and we're gonna fight the woke. Oh man. It's a show, doing a program today. This is the Above It All program. On the Above It All program, I do things. I don't really know why or how or what or but I do things. Blood Moon, thank you for your super chat yesterday. I don't know if you saw my thanks. I don't know if you left before I thanked you. I'm a piece of shit streamer, but I just thought I'd get that out there. Oh God, the seltzer. Oh my Lord. Let me drink more. In the United States of America, we have a problem. In the United States of America, I don't even know how to start this one, but I'm going to try, so just bear with me here. We have a lot of really stupid people in the United States. Per capita, out of any country on earth, my sincerely held belief, and I'm willing to debate this, and if you want to provide counter evidence, I'm listening, right? But this is my belief as of this moment. If you want to present some information that is contrary to what I'm about to say, I'm totally open to it. But my sincerely held belief is that per capita, America has the dumbest motherfuckers out of any country. That's my belief. But how did we get here? How did we get here? It's generations of neglectful and terrible whether or not through their own fault or choices, right? It could be the system that's keeping them down, man, but they're choosing to have kids anyway. I'm talking about parents. Now, again, I'm willing to debate this, but I want to propose to you that at least 90% of parents in this country are bad. Now, does that make them bad people? No. But they're bad parents. They are bad at their job. Now, again, parents often, if you work 2 jobs and you're a single mother and you don't really have time to see your kid, you're still a bad parent. Now, again, you're doing what you can in that system, and the system is oppressing you. I understand that. But the result of that is that your kid is not going to get the care that they need, okay? That's just a fact. Now, again, there's 2 ways we fix this. We fix society, and we also educate and help parents. Do you have any parents in your life? Offer to take care of their kid for a day. Offer to do whatever you can to make their lives easier. Parents need help. But I also say this. A lot of the times, especially now that we're living in a post-collapse of Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood v. Casey, now that we're living in this weird world where a lot of states in this country, you can go to jail if you don't want to have a child, we're going to have a lot more unwanted children in this country, and I believe we've already had too much. I am an unwanted child, and look what that shit did to me. I won't shut the fuck up about it. So, I think one of the major problems with America is we have a lot of really stupid people, and also people through no fault of their own, but they probably shouldn't procreate. That was in commas, or parents procreating, having kids. Again, whether or not the parents are bad people, I'm not making a judgment on that. I know a lot of parents are trying as hard as they can, and I want to be fair to them. But it is a fact of the matter that a lot of parents are neglecting their children in some degree. A lot of parents are passing on generational trauma that they got when they were raised poorly to their children, whether or not they intend to or not. Most people don't have the time to unpack their generational trauma, or most people don't even know that they have it. All of a sudden you have a kid and you start acting just like your mom did. Whoa, right? But what am I getting at here? Why am I doing this 5 fucking minute preamble, whatever the hell I'm doing? Because I have a story, if you could call it that, a news article. I have a story here that pretty much perfectly encapsulates what it is that I'm trying to discuss here and why it's a problem. Right? Let's take a look at child pregnancy. I know, right? Child pregnancy. But it's popular in this country. Republicans are in multiple states, West Virginia, for example, Wyoming, another example, are trying to loosen the regulations on child sex slavery in the form of child marriage. What is child marriage other than legalized child sex slavery? What is it? If a 12-year-old has parental consent to marry someone else that happens to be double, triple their age, that is selling your child into child sex slavery. In states like Wyoming and West Virginia, they are loosening regulations on child sex slavery. Right. But that's another sidebar. Okay? What am I getting at? That's not the story here. I want you to brace for impact. I want you to do a deep breath. Deep breath. Brace for impact. If you're driving, pull over, right? Whatever you need to do. Representative Lauren Boebert, 36, announces her first grandchild will be born in April. Double take. Representative Lauren Boebert, 36, underline, right, highlight, 36, announces her first grandchild will be born in April. Now, I've got news for everybody. What happens? What happens when you have a child when you are in high school, aka still a child yourself? The only reason, there's one reason only. Okay, maybe there's like 1.5 reasons, all right? But I refuse to view the other one as a legitimate reason. 1.5 reasons why you'd have a kid under the age of, let's say, 36. But let's be fair, let's say 27, right? Let's just put it that way. Hey, your brain is theoretically fully developed by your mid-20s, so maybe you should wait until that point to have kids. But okay, hear me out, right? Give me a sec. Follow me here. The only reason to have a kid when you're that young is because you're a narcissist. That's it. Now, the half reason, which other people might cite as a reason, but it's actually not real, is because, like, God is telling them that, like, you can't kill your kid even though it's not a kid yet. It's a zygote, and it might not even be a zygote yet. That's, like, a half reason because God isn't real, right? So that's just, like, them living in a fantasy world trying to, like, make an excuse of their own narcissism. But the only actual reason that you would have a kid that young is if you're a narcissist. You think, I can do it! I can do it! I can do it! I'm 17, I ain't got a goddamn job, and I'm not gonna graduate high school, but I can raise a boy. I can do it. Spoiler alert, no you can't. Case in point, Lauren Boebert. But let's read more about this information here, because why not? U.S. Representative Lauren Boebert announced her oldest son is expecting a baby boy with his girlfriend. 36-year-old lawmaker spoke of the news for the first time publicly during a Moms for America event on Tuesday, saying she and her husband, Jason, are so excited to welcome this new life into our family. According to a post on Boebert's Twitter, Tyler, the oldest of her 4 boys, turned 17 on March 21, 22. Boebert acknowledged, there is some fear that arises and questions that pop up when young children are giving life. But ultimately, she was not upset. Well, that's great. I'm glad that Lauren Boebert was not upset. But again, think of the children here, and I sincerely think of the fucking children. Right? Think of the goddamn children here. If you are, let's say, 5 years old, and your grandma is 40, think of the children here, right? Not only is your grandma 40, but your grandma is a congresswoman who is, again, she gives another certain congresswoman a run for her money. It's kind of like, you know, every couple of months, it's like, you know, they exchange the title of the dumbest dumb bitch in America. Now, again, there's another congresswoman also from the Republican caucus, and they just go back and forth on sharing that title, you know. It's like a Rocky III type situation, but in no good possible way. But anyway, I don't know, man. Think of the kid on this one. Think of this child. You know, they're going into kindergarten. I'm just saying, think of the children. But not only that, but again, if a child, 5 years old, starting to understand a little bit about the world, and their mom is 20 years old. Because I read somewhere else that the mom in this instance is a year younger than the kid or a year and a half younger than the kid. So the person giving birth in this instance will probably be 16 or 17 by the time this child is born. The child starts to understand words. You know, they're starting to go maybe into kindergarten, preschool. And their parent can't even drink alcohol. I mean, now, hey, some would say that's a good thing if your parents can't drink alcohol. But just bear with me here. That is not conducive in any fucking way possible to raising a child in any way where the goal would be having a healthy, both mentally, physically, having a healthy child. That is not possible. That is not possible. I'm willing to say it's not possible if you're under the age of 27. I'm willing to say it's also very unlikely if you're over the age of 27. But I can without a shadow of a doubt tell you that a 15 and a 17-year-old having a child, that kid is not going to that kid is not going to be doing well. Okay? And imagine this is what is happening all across the United States. Parents are having children without thinking about it. And again, the only reason, at least before abortion was banned in half the country, the only reason to have a kid that young is because you're a narcissist. That's it. Or, again, maybe you're schizophrenic and you think God is telling you to do something or whatever. I don't know. Those are the only possible reasons. Because if you're 16, 17, 15 years old and you genuinely want to have a kid, again, you're not going to be able to actually raise the kid in a way that the kid is going to be healthy in any fashion. So the only reason you'd want to have that kid is because you want to be a teen mom for some reason. Which is, again, boils down to narcissism. So, I postulate that one of the main reasons why America is such a horrible country is because there's a lot of really fucked up parents who are not handling their own shit in any way, shape, or form and passing that shit on to their kids, who are passing that shit on to their kids, who are passing that shit on to their kids. And it's like a game of telephone, but each generation gets further from what the original traumas were, and then in turn is less and less and less capable of even understanding what the fuck it is to begin with, right? And it leads to a whole society that votes for people like Lauren Boebert. So hey, some people may be excited at this news. Some people might find this news entertaining. I, in some way, find it entertaining. But ultimately, this is just scary. I mean, again, if your goal is to raise a child to be as healthy in every way possible that they possibly could be, you would not let a teenager who is in high school have a kid. It's not going to happen. That kid will never be healthy in a real, genuine sense, and they are fucked from the jump. Just like the rest of us that got born into this shithole from parents that didn't fucking plan on it. And even, you had 5, 10, 15, 20 years to maybe come up with a strategy, and still they never bothered to do so. Now I'm a child, an unwanted child, an accident, if you will. My parents, let's be honest, not very bright, very abusive, did not raise me very well, and I still have to deal with that almost every day. I still have to deal with the fact that I was hit as a kid. Sometimes loud noises, they trigger me. Because loud noises usually meant you're going to get your fucking teeth kicked in, right? At least that's when I was growing up. So now I have to deal with that. I made the decision. I'm not going to have kids. If I did have a child, which is possible, it would have to be after I fully decompress all of the shit that I had to go through. But think about this. Imagine, right? Imagine we have generations and generations and generations and generations of parents who never, ever, ever handle their own shit. And then the only way that they know how to raise kids is how their parents raised them, which is probably like shit. Do most parents read parenting books? Some of them do, and God bless them. But let's be honest, most of them don't. Right? So when we have a country where people that should not be parents are becoming parents, younger and younger and younger, and the laws around abortion are getting stricter and stricter and stricter, and education is getting defunded more and more and more, just think about it. Think about it. What is our country going to look like in another 30 or 40 years? Education being defunded exponentially. More and more kids are being born into a society that does not care for them in whatsoever. Look at COVID, for example. 97% of under 18s have gotten COVID. Why? Because their parents are neglectful and abusive. And sent them to a school and forced them to go to a school. The society at large forced them to go to school where the scholastic administrators refused to take any precautions and then gave everyone a virus that, as we know right now, has long-term debilitating health effects. So, hey, what could possibly go wrong with accelerating this experiment? All I know, and again, it's possible I change my mind on the children, but the only way that I would do so is if I have fully, and I mean fully, decompressed everything. The idea, like, let's be honest here. The idea that if I were to have a kid and if I would fuck it up in some way, I wouldn't be able to live with that, right? And I wish more parents had that mindset. If you fuck up a kid, you should feel such intense shame. And again, that should be a motivating factor to not fuck up the kid in the first place. And if you feel like it's a good chance they're going to fuck up the kid in the first place, maybe don't have fucking kids, okay? But again, the people that would theoretically be making these decisions are the smart ones. And so, again, what this leads to is dumb people are having more kids and making them dumber. Smart people are having less kids, right? And what little kids that they have, they're doing a decent job, but still. And then eventually, right, the dumber people are going to have like big families of dumbass kids and raise their stupid fucking kids with belt whippings and guns everywhere and fucking raising their kids to believe in some Jesus that's watching them jerk off. This is where we are. And the scales are going to keep tipping. So hey, I don't mean to make everyone depressed here on a fucking story that should be funny. And again, this should be funny. But it's not. This is not funny. I'm sorry. Maybe a little. But there you go. Talking about shitty fucking parents. And I should also say, any parent that lets their teenager have a kid, also a shitty fucking parent. So the teenager who wants to have a kid, shitty fucking parent. The grandmother who's letting their kid have another kid, shitty fucking parent. Down the train. This motherfucker is going to have like great-great-great-grandma be like fucking 52 years old. Your great-great-great-grandma, would like died in the fucking Great Depression and the Spanish flu. My great-great-great-grandma is fucking, what do 50-year-olds do? I don't know, but we are not the same. What the fuck, man? Crazy ass shit. Let's surrender the world over to the dumb people. Hey, man. Maybe. I'm open to it. I'm open to that idea. Machine learning algorithms raising kids, yeah. Imagine that fucking robot daycare. Oh boy. God damn. But that's not all that we have to talk about in the news today. I would like to enter the fun part of this program. The part where things get a little bit more interesting. You know, I've been reading articles to you, boring. But let's watch some news clips. Yeah! Does anyone here like clips? Can I get a clip, anybody? Anyone? Anyone got a clip? Can we get a clip on this show? God, this show's a snoozer. So let's get some clips, okay? We got some clips, okay? And in this clip, if you can even call it a clip, presidential candidate Nikki Haley is alive and well, partially unlike the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. But Nikki Haley is alive and well. One of those things does not apply to the aforementioned Minority Leader. But she is on television trying to explain her policy on retirement. Retirement. When are you going to retire? Is it 65? Is it 70? I say this. Retirement should follow life expectancy, which, if you've looked at life expectancy, it has gone down for 3 years in a row. So I say this. Retirement age should be 55. But hey, let's see what Nikki Haley has to say.
Governor, then how would you dress when you talked about changing the retirement age for security? What were you talking about?
So if we're talking about entitlement reform, the first thing we do is, look, I have parents in their 80s. We take care of them. I don't want anything to hurt the seniors or anyone that's getting ready to retire. But I have kids in their 20s. Those are the ones that need to go and know that things are going to be changed. So what you would do is, for those in their 20s coming into the system, we would change the retirement age so that it matches life expectancy. The second thing we would do.
So I agree. I agree. Now, obviously, Nikki Haley is pretending that life expectancy is going up, because what she is advocating for is a 70 or a 75 retirement age. That's what she's advocating for, but she's hiding that, saying, yeah, it should adjust with life expectancy, which, by the way, in the United States is going down, down, down. So again, if you really wanted to match retirement age with life expectancy, you would push it down. Retirement should be 55.
So we would limit benefits for the wealthy. Then you go further. Instead of cost of living increases, do increases based on inflation. That's something Republicans and Democrats would agree with.
Now, quick question. Cost of living increase versus inflation. Could somebody tell me what the fucking difference is? Can someone tell me what the difference between the cost of living increase and inflation would be? To the point where we need to tie it to inflation? I agree we should increase the cost of living with inflation, but I mean, that's kind of what they're kind of synonyms, right? But anyway, let's keep going here.
And then more than that, expand Medicare Advantage plans so that we have more competition and we run the cost down. That's what.
So when she says expand, so there's more competition, that means privatize? That's what that means. That means privatize.
Entitlement reform will look like. That's how you go and make it sustainable. And that's also how you bring down the cost of what we're seeing right now.
So, real quick, as with most things in politics, there is already people actually looked into this, and there is a correct answer for this. Obviously, Nikki Haley's trying to hide not even just the ball. She's trying to hide a soccer ball. She's trying to hide a football, which are the same thing. She's trying to hide a goddamn tether ball. You remember those things with the string? She's trying to hide a goddamn golf ball. She's hiding all the balls, right? But the solution to quote-unquote entitlements reform is to, did you know this? There's a cap on Social Security taxes. If you hit a certain tax bracket, you pay the same as people that are Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk. They all pay the same. So what you would do is just get rid of that cap. And so rich people would be paying into the system a percentage, in this instance, right? Maybe a flat tax isn't such a bad idea, right? They would be paying into the system significantly more than a dentist who just happens to hit the cap, right? That's how you fix all of this entitlement reform. That's the solution. We already know that. Obviously, that's not what Nikki Haley's going to talk about. She's just going to fucking, I don't even know, like, the second half of this clip, I haven't watched the second half yet, but I'm told it goes a little off the rails.
So when you're talking about adjusting the ages depending on, you know, kids in their 20s, and obviously that they can come into the program later, and they might have other options, what are you telling those in their 60s now or in their 50s now? At what point would a President, Nikki Haley, say, all right, we're bringing you in a little later?
You keep your promises to those that.
Okay, real quick before she tries to respond to that. Now, again, Nikki Haley said we're going to tie it to life expectancy. But I forget this fucking guy's name, but this guy is like, he knows that means raise it, even though life expectancy is going down, right? So, fact, life expectancy is going down, okay? Policy proposal, match it with life expectancy in words, right? That's what they're saying. You know, fine print, actually increase it. So life expectancy is going down, and they want to increase the retirement age and just lie to us about tying it to life expectancy. Like, what the fuck? But anyway, how is she going to respond to this? Let's find out.
Later.
You keep your promises to those that we've made promises to. Those that have invested in should keep what they have. We shouldn't in any way jeopardize those that are already expecting something. This is about the new group coming in.
So
this
what's
is
the,
making
I'm
sure
sorry,
they
Governor,
know
what is the
already
new group?
that they're not going to
I'm sorry, what's the new group? Is it, are you telling those 50 and over, you're safe, 50 and under, you're on? I just use that arbitrary number. What are you saying is a group that which you're saying that's going to change?
It's the new ones coming in. It's those in their 20s that are coming in. You're coming to them and you're saying the game has changed. We're going to do this completely differently. That's how you go and you focus on it. We've got to start doing things like that. But more than that, I mean, we have to look at the fact that there is a spending problem in D.C., and Republicans and Democrats have done this to us, Neil. Don't forget that when this all started with the Republicans, they passed a $2.2 trillion COVID.
Governor, then.
So, okay, now she just goes off the rails. But note here that this is a classic Republican candidate. This isn't one of those Trumpers. This is like a classic. Like, this is like, you know, this kind of reminds me of like, you know, like a Ben Carson kind of scenario, though Ben Carson was a little more funny. Where it's just, you just say a bunch of nothing, right? Like, the reporter is the news actor is asking a very simple question. Can you give me a number? She can't give a number, right? Now, again, obviously, she's pretending like it's tied to life expectancy, which is going down. So by that logic, you know, retire at 60, 55. That would be the logical if you were telling the truth. But again, all of these people, they just lie all the fucking time. They lie all the goddamn time. And it's like, that's the thing about it, is that, like, I can't understand this. When you lie, why not go all the way? Right? Like, these people know that none of the shit that they talk about on the campaign actually matters in any way other than to just get votes. Right? So, like, when Donald Trump lied in 2015 and 16, what did he lie about? He lied about, you know, you're a working class, whatever the fuck, we're going to bring your jobs back. Wrong. He lied about, we're going to build the wall. Wrong. Joe Biden is building more of a wall than fucking Donald Trump did. Right? What did Donald Trump lie about? We're never going to cut, so wrong. But what did he lie about? The war is bad. And then, like, the first day in office, he, like, kills a child. And then he tries to start World War III with, like, North Korea, Iran, and all that. Like, so why not do the Trump style of lying, but, like, when you lie, you say things that are popular, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, Nikki Haley is she's lying. She knows she's lying. The fucking news actor knows that she's lying. Everyone knows that she's lying. But she's still saying something that doesn't sound good to anybody. You know? Like, why not just fucking lie and say, yeah, we're going to give everyone is going to retire at 30. And, I don't know. Everyone's going to get a free dog and a surfboard, Like, why create a lie that's not appealing to anybody? It just blows my mind. But, again, this is politics, baby. But there you go. There's a Nikki Haley news update. Why am I doing that? Why not, right? I don't, whatever. Fills 10 minutes, whatever. Absolutely, Blood Moon. Americans say words with no meaning. When they answer something they don't know or understand, it's the filibuster back when the vernacular, the public zeitgeist vernacular version of filibuster meant talking. But now that's obviously not what it means in now. But But that's not the only news clip that I'm going to talk about today. There is this person. They go by the name Matthew Taibbi. Now, multiple people, for whatever reason, have claimed that Matt Taibbi is like some frontline thinker. He's like really bright, and he's like, he's anti-authority, right? He speaks truth to power, all these kinds of buzzwords and phrases. But of course, none of that is true. Matt Taibbi, of course, decided to sell all of his credibility to Elon Musk for who knows how much money he was paid for the Twitter files. We don't really know. But he sold 100% of his credibility to Elon. He is now Elon's bitch boy. He's a little beta male. Like, you ever see those, like the little guy with the dog collar on, on the ground, and like some guy holding the collar with like a bag full of cash. That's basically Matt Taibbi and Elon Musk, right? He's the little doggy, not a good doggy that's just, they bark and they make fun noises and they play fetch, but like just really bad dog. And he was at a congressional hearing. And the thing about this clip that really boils my blood is that I am forced to give Debbie Wasserman Schultz credit for something. This is not something I want to do. I don't want to come out here on my show and say that DWS did a good job. I don't want that. But I'm going to do it anyway because my dislike for Matt Taibbi is more nowadays than my dislike for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So here's a clip that went viral on the internet. And let's just watch this exchange, okay?
Journalistic ethics and information sources. The Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics asserts that journalists should avoid political activities that can compromise integrity or credibility. Being a Republican witness today certainly casts a cloud over your objectivity. But a deeper concern that I have relates to the ethics of how journalists receive and present certain information. Journalists should avoid accepting spoon-fed, cherry-picked information if it's likely to be slanted, incomplete, or designed to reach a foregone, easily disputed, or invalid conclusion. Would you agree with that?
I think it depends.
Really? You wouldn't agree that a...
So first of all, again, the idea that you're going to respond to that with "it depends" is pretty fucking funny, right? Like, journalism is about uncovering truth. Journalists are in opposition to power by nature. If you consider yourself a journalist and you are doing a press conference on behalf of the powerful, that's not journalism. That's public relations for whoever you're giving public relations to. You know, there's PR firms out there, right? PR firms and news agencies and journalist outlets are not the same thing. Okay? So it does not depend. To correct Matthew Taibbi, does not depend.
Journalists should avoid spoon-fed, cherry-picked information if it's likely to be slanted, incomplete, or designed to reach a foregone, easily disputed, or invalid conclusion.
Congresswoman, I've done probably a dozen stories involving whistleblowers. Every reported story that I've ever done across 3 decades involves sources who have motives. Every time you do a story, you're making a balancing test between the public
reclaiming
interest.
my time. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I ask you this because before you became Elon Musk's hand-picked journalist, and pardon the oxymoron, you stated this on Joe Rogan's podcast about being spoon-fed information, and I quote, "I think that's true of any kind of journalism," and you'll see it behind me here. "I think that's true of any kind of journalism. Once you start getting handed things, then you've lost. They have you at that point, and you got to get out of that habit. You just can't cross that line." Do you still believe what you told Mr. Rogan? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Good. Now, you crossed that line with the Twitter files.
No.
Elon Musk, it's my time. Please do not interrupt me. Elon Musk spoon-fed you his cherry-picked information, which you must have suspected promotes a slanted viewpoint, or at the very least generates another right-wing conspiracy theory. You violated your own standard, and you appear to have benefited from it.
So, it's just, again, I don't like Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I think she's, on a personal level, a bad person. I also think politically, she's pretty bad most of the time. But this one here, it's a banger. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a banger. Right? It's a banger. And again, you can just look at the Twitter files. You can see the Twitter files. You can look at them. The claim of the Twitter files is that Democrat politicians begged Twitter to delete things they didn't like. And then in the Twitter files, we found out that it wasn't actually Democratic politicians. It was a Democratic campaign for president, Joe Biden. And that campaign for president asked pornography, revenge pornography, of the presidential candidate's child, adult child, right? His kid, his son. That's all they asked to be taken down, was revenge porn of his adult son. Then, in the Twitter files, this was not marketed by them, and they probably failed to remove it. They should have removed this. But we also found out in the Twitter files that Donald Trump's campaign, but no, wait, not Donald Trump's campaign, the White House, you know, the executive branch of the United States government, the White House, I don't know if you know this, a campaign for president of someone who is not a sitting president is different than the White House. The White House, Donald J. Trump, Republican, by the way, not a Democrat, Republican in the White House, asked Twitter to remove tweets. One of them was calling Donald Trump, quote, a pussy-ass bitch. Donald Trump instructed the White House to instruct Twitter to delete that tweet. And that's not news, apparently. There was like a little footnote that they probably forgot to get rid of. So when they tried to market the Twitter files, the headlines were the exact opposite of what the actual information showed us. And so, by definition, this is a cherry-picked argument. By definition. Now again, they failed to pick the right amount of cherries, But it is a cherry-picked incident here where their claim was that Democrats they have undue control over Twitter or whatever. And then they accidentally also posted that, no, actually, Democratic politicians are different than Democratic campaign people that are not elected representatives. So Democratic campaign workers actually asked them to take down revenge porn, which is already illegal in most states. Not most states, actually, but some states. And then also, on the other end, we found out that the White House, actual government, institution, whatever. But so that is, by all definitions, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is correct here. And Matt Taibbi is just the thing about Matt Taibbi that I really don't like, and again, I've never liked this guy, but he's got this shit-eating grin. Just look at this guy. The way that he thinks that everything he says is nailed it, right? And he's just just the way he looks when he talks, it just I'm not gonna lie to you, it triggers the shit out of me, because this is how professional liars behave. Is they always speak in punchlines and sound bites, and they'll just lie just for the sake of lying, just for fun, just to lie, just to see if they can get away with it, look at Anthony DeValder, for example, elected member of Congress, right? So he just has that shit-eating grin all the time. As soon as he walks off the set, he just goes into the bathroom and gobbles up all the turds, he gets a plunger, plunges the turd. Sorry, but anyway, but my point here is, it is factually true. Now, again, he can say, oh, I changed my mind, or, I was naive back then, or whatever. But he didn't. He just lied about it. And that's why you shouldn't fucking trust people like this. Because if they can just lie to your face when you know that they're lying, why would you accept any other information from them for any reason? So anyway, there you go. Heartbreaking. The worst person you know made a great point. Oh. Folks, this is, and I quote, the Above It All program. And I'm doing a show. A heated exchange took place in the Senate a couple of days ago. Maybe more than a couple, maybe a few days ago. A heated exchange took place in the Senate between a Republican senator and to my understanding, president of the Teamsters Union. And I want to play some of this exchange, and this is just going to be purely entertaining for everybody to watch. So here is Senator Scumbag and Teamsters President SOB, Sean O'Brien, exchanging words. Let's watch.
Union pipe fitters decided they were going to come after us. They would show up at my house. They'd be leaning up against my trucks. I'm not afraid of a physical confrontation. In fact, sometimes I look forward to it. When that didn't work, they started picketing our job site, saying, shame on Mullen. Shame on Mullen. For what? For what? Because we were paying higher wages? Because we had better benefits and we wasn't requiring them to pay your guys' exorbitant salaries? You talk about CEOs that are making all this money? And what do you make, Mr. O'Brien?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah, I know what you make, because in 2019, your salary was, what is this? $193,000. I'm sure you got some pay raises since then.
Yeah, when I was
And the average UPS driver, the feeder driver, makes $35,000 a year? And what do you bring?
That's
to the table?
inaccurate.
Hold on a second.
That's inaccurate. State
No, I've got
facts.
it right here.
State facts. That's
The
inaccurate.
average UPS feeder driver makes $35,000. If you don't know your facts, then maybe you should.
I know them because I negotiate the
So
contract.
I say one thing to you. What do you bring for that salary?
What do I bring?
Yeah. What job have you committed, or have you started? What job have you created? One job, other than sucking the paycheck out of somebody else that you want to say that you're trying to provide because you're forcing them to pay dues?
No, we don't force them.
So hold the phone here for a second, because this is when it gets good. So Senator Scumbag from Oklahoma is basically just crying that unionized workers were upset at his anti-union propaganda and union busting. Now again, they always claim, oh, we'll give you more money. We'll give you more money without the unions. But they never do. It's always made up. That's why unions exist. If unions didn't need to be there and workers were just CEOs were just benevolent to their workers, there would be no reason to have unions. That's why unions exist, because workers and CEOs are directly opposed. And unions step in similar to lawyers, right? They step in to help people out in ways that they are not necessarily well educated in. Not every person who has any job ever should be an expert in negotiation, for example, and they should be able to work for a comfortable wage without getting taken advantage of or lied to by a boss, okay? So that is why unions exist. So let's continue.
You're trying to provide because you're forcing them to pay dues. And
No, we don't force them.
Senator, you've asked the
You're
question.
out of line,
Let him
man.
answer the
Actually, I haven't.
question.
And
So now it's a three-way, everybody. Now, Bernard, we all love him. We worship Bernard on this show. One of these days, I got to get Bernie on here. If anyone knows how to make that happen, let me know. But Bernard weighs in, everybody. So now it's a three-way. Let's jump in.
somebody else that you want to say that you're trying to provide because you're forcing them to pay dues. And
No, we don't force them.
Senator, you've asked the
You're
question.
out of line,
Let him
man.
answer
Actually,
the
I haven't.
question.
And don't tell me I'm out.
You are in line.
Don't tell me I'm out of line.
Well, you frame.
Don't tell me. I'm making a
you
statement.
frame the statement.
Okay, I just want to say, look at this guy. Look at this guy here. So look at this guy.
Don't tell me I'm out of line.
Well, you frame.
Don't tell me. I'm making.
Look at this guy. This guy is like, whoa, I got a front row seat. Like, look at this guy. I mean, this is all of us right now in reaction to this. This guy is speaking for everybody without saying a word.
You frame the statement.
You need to
like a
shut
tough
your
guy.
mouth
Yeah.
because you don't know
You're
what
gonna
you're
tell me to
talking
shut my
about.
mouth?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
Hold it.
Yeah.
Hold it.
Yes,
Tough guy. I'm not
Senator,
afraid of physical.
Senator,
Don't have
hold
to be,
it.
but don't sit there and tell me I'm out of line.
Senator,
All right, so Bernie's got to take his mask off. Why is Bernie taking his mask off? Nobody knows, but he's doing it anyway.
you made a statement. You asked the question.
I didn't ask a question.
You did it.
I answered the question.
You asked the question about how
Well, it
much
was
money.
rhetorical.
Let him answer.
It was a rhetorical
Well,
question,
you
sir.
may think it's rhetorical.
It was
Sounded to me
rhetorical.
like a question. Let him answer the question.
I'm not yielding my time to him. So if you're going to let me keep my time, that's fine.
You'll have your time. Let him. You ask
Your
a
question.
question. He has a right to answer that.
As far as my salary goes, my salary, if you follow me around, I actually look at this building. I bet you I work more hours than you do. Twice as many hours.
That's impossible. But
No, that's true.
Sir, you don't know what hard work is. You wanna follow my schedule,
Secondly, I'll do it in a
follow
minute.
it.
We hold greedy CEOs
that's
like yourself
not-
accountable.
You call me a greedy CEO.
Oh, yeah, you are. You want to attack my salary, I'll attack yours.
Here,
What
go
did you
ahead.
make? What did you make when you owned your company?
When I made my company, I kept my salary down at about $50,000 a year because I invested every penny into it.
Okay.
So, again, what does that mean he invested every penny into it? That means he did not pay himself a large salary because the money that he would have paid for a salary went into things like stock buybacks, went into things like hiring lawyers to screw over their workers, so that when he could leave his company, become a senator, he could take a gigantic multi-million-dollar payout. But let's keep going.
All right. You mean you hid money?
No, I didn't hide. Oh, hold on a second.
Okay, go.
He said that's out of line. You said
All right,
I was out of
we're
line.
even.
We're not even. We're not even close to being even.
So anyway, there's a little bit of a highlight there. I don't know much about, the Teamsters president, SOB. Not very knowledgeable on this fella. But as you can see, I believe that this fella back here is speaking for us all. when we are very entertained by this. So I enjoyed this exchange. And, you can find the longer clip if you want to look it up. It's 3 minutes. 3 minutes is enough. But I think it's hilarious when a rich boy trust fund baby cocksucker senator is trying to tell a union president that the union president is the one who's overpaid. Not the CEO who takes multi-million-dollar payouts after screwing over his entire workforce to run for a shitty fucking Senate campaign. But it's the other guy. So anyway, I thought that was entertaining. And I hope to see more of it. Pretty funny. There you go. But that's the show. That's the news show. It's a news. The news show today. Tomorrow's Saturday. As you all know, hopefully by now, I will not be streaming on Saturday. Over the course of the next few weeks, I may change up my days on and days off schedule. I'll give more information about that on Sunday, or maybe Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday. I mean, who knows when but I'll give more information on that at some point. Before I go, of course, I have a few major announcements. One of them... Maxie, you want to come up here? You want to get the hell over here? Come on, Maxie. Yeah. Yeah. Look at this dog. Look at this dog. Max, do you have anything to say about this show? All right. Well said. Well said, my friend. But anyway, I will be streaming on twitch.tv later today if anyone wants to check it out. But that's it. That's all I got. I got a $10 super chat earlier from Blood Moon. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh. My campaign to get you on the leftist mafia is almost complete. Now, I would love to go on that show. But to be honest with you, I've never watched it. Like, what do they do on there? You got to prepare me, Zero Pain Elemental. You got to prepare me for that show. What do I say? What do I talk about? What do I do? What if I freeze? What if I go on there and I go like... Alright, I freeze. It's possible. I haven't been on anyone else's show in a while, other than Letterhack. I went on Letterhack's show, but Letterhack's different. Letterhack's not like one of those big guys, you know. Not like big independent media. You ever see these guys? Oh, I'm independent. Motherfuckers got 500,000 YouTube subscribers. You're independent. Oh, yeah, okay. Big independent media appropriating my people's language, calling themselves a mafia. I'm offended. Who's on that show? A Canadian? I don't know. Multiple Canadians, I think. I genuinely don't know who's on there. I haven't watched it. I haven't watched many YouTube politics stuff recently. I'm just taking a break. But yeah, I'm glad to go on the show. All jokes aside. I don't really know who's on there, but I would go on. I'd rather do the donation on PayPal. I think it's better than YouTube. My preference would be Cash App. That is my ultimate preference. Ole's on the show. That's excellent information. Dory, cover the permafrost virus story. Oh no. I hate permafrost. Elvis is a member. Holy fuck! Goddamn. 0, I'll stay up if I need to. It's no problem. I'll fuck up my cicada rhythm. But I'll be grumpy. You know, I'll go on there and I'll be like, I'll have my coffee. I'll be like, what time is it? I was thinking about dyeing my hair silver so that I could be the ultimate boomer. Would anyone like watching my show if I looked like the ultimate boomer? Andrea might be louder than Ole. Well, I'm down to get into a screaming competition. I don't know what we would scream about, though. Might be an echo chamber. Like Venmo. I don't use Venmo. But is it like Venmo? Maybe. I'm not sure. But follow me on Twitch. I gotta go pee, so it's over. It's over. The show is over. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. The show is fucking over. The show is fucking over.